Hey everybody, welcome back to 1834 Restoration House. It is a beautiful day and we're standing in front of our new house. Today we're doing the inspection. The inspectors are already inside, so we'll go join them.
Sorry, let me get out of your way.
No, it's okay. It's interesting that they closed that off like that.
Yeah,
I'm here with Travis from Apple Tree Inspections, and he's spent the last couple of hours crawling around the house, up above, underneath, in every nook and cranny of this place, and he's got a pretty good idea of how things are. So what are your impressions now that you've been there?
Yeah, so overall, I mean, for a house of this age, it's great. I mean, we've done a number of inspections with older houses similar, and I've got to say it's probably the best one we've done. There's always going to be a list of items in an old house, and part of the reason for that is just because standards change over time, and our comments are going to generally they're going to reflect the current standard, and not that it's a mandatory list of things that you have to do, but for example, GFCI outlets, the outlets that reset in kitchens and bathrooms, they weren't around when this house was built, but nowadays those are something that we recommend, and it does provide additional safety. So the comments we have are going to be reflective of the current standard, and so there's always going to be a list of things like that in an older home.
Yeah.
Yep. But the big things on the house, you know, the structure, the roof, all those type of things were really good. So
Good.
Yep.
Yeah, I noticed a few things. Couple of spots where the porch was rotten, and a couple of bricks fall off the chimney, and
Right.
stuff like that.
Yep.
But nothing that's unfixable.
Exactly. And I understand you're planning on doing a big renovation here, so I'm actually a little bit jealous. I did a number of those, and never one like this, and I would like to. It looks like a fun one to do.
Yeah.
The blue items are going to be either an informational comment or a maintenance suggestion, you know, those type of items. Orange are either something didn't work or recommended improvement, and most of those things are going to be fairly small, like a door that sticks or even a light bulb that doesn't come on, anything like that. The red items, they're either a safety related or they're a larger concern, and most of the time they're not huge things, they're just safety, important to take care of.
Well, it's encouraging that the red items are far less than some of the others.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me go to that first, and we'll talk through these. So you had mentioned you saw a number of bricks missing on the chimney.
Yep.
And there are a bunch missing. There's 8 fireplaces in the home, but there's not any clay liner in the fireplace. And so none of those are ready for operation. Don't light a fire in there. It's not safe as it is.
Okay, good to know.
Okay. On the back, your back deck, anytime a deck is above 30 inches off the ground, you should have balusters no more than 4 inches apart, and that's to protect children from falling off of a
that makes
landing.
sense.
So you did not have that on the back deck. There's a door going out back, and that's not the best picture ever, but that there's not a landing or stairs coming off of it. So you've got about a 3-foot drop just right off of the door.
Yeah, we call that the door to nowhere.
The door to the emergency room.
Right.
Yeah. A couple of windows that had broken glass, and then most of the windows in the home are painted shut or screwed shut. And when that's the case in a bedroom, that's a safety item on our end, because every bedroom should have an egress window or a way to get out in case there was a fire or something like that. So your bedroom windows that don't open, those are a red item. There's just a couple of windows with broken glass, and the pictures at the bottom of them, when you select them, they'll be labeled as to where it was.
Okay.
All right. So you've got a newer gas furnace, an exterior furnace. It was actually on this side.
Right.
Got turned around, and an air conditioner. However, that's just going through the crawl space for the main floor. There's not anything running upstairs.
No ducting going up, huh?
No.
Wow.
No. There's a couple it looks like return airs in the closet, but none in the bedrooms. And so you don't have to have air conditioning, although you're definitely going to want it here in South Carolina. But you do have to have heat in each habitable room. And so you've got 3 bedrooms up there with no heat. And, granted, you're going to get some heat rising from the bottom, but yep, you don't have that. So right by that furnace that we were just talking about, there's a disconnect box, and there's not a cover on it. And the reason that's red, like a small child could easily open that, and those energized components are right
sure.
there. They could
There's usually an internal panel
Absolutely.
that's covered. Okay.
That's what it is.
Okay.
Yep, simple item. Most of the outlets in the home are not grounded. Now, when this house was built, it was just a 2-wire system. That's the way it was back in the day.
Right.
However, most of the outlets in the home, they've replaced those old 2-prong outlets with the newer 3-prong outlets. And when they do that, then it becomes a red item on our report because the outlet looks like it's grounded. People assume it's grounded, but there's no ground.
But it's not. Okay.
Yeah. And if they'd have left it a 2-prong, we'd have just given you kind of an informational comment that it's a 2-wire system, 2-prong outlets. But you shouldn't put 3-prong outlets on a 2-wire system.
Okay, that makes perfectly good sense.
GFCIs, I think we mentioned that earlier. So there's one on the back deck, and there's one in one of the bathrooms. There's not any others on the house. So there's outside kitchen, bathrooms that should be GFCI protected, and they're not. Those are a relatively simple item to upgrade, and I definitely recommend it. They will offer some, quite a bit of additional protection from shock anywhere near water. They're only about $20-25 each. Your main panel is outside on this right side, and you've got a sub panel here in the back, kind of in that back hallway behind the kitchen.
The one inside the cabinet?
Yep. And that one is an old fused panel, and so probably time to update that. And a lot of insurance companies, they don't want to insure a home if it has those old fuses. So we always recommend having an electrician evaluate those. Most likely it should be upgraded, and certainly we recommend checking with your insurance company because you don't want to buy a house that you can't get insurance on.
Yeah, that looks pretty sketchy, especially that knife switch there. Do you see that?
Yep, I did. Yep, there's a knife switch, and there's a number of those fuses are also double lugged.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah, that's not good.
No. So electrician definitely needs to look at that, and then there's a number of places in the crawl space where they've connected wires.
Oh, wow.
Yep, and they do have the wire nuts, but those should all be in a box with a lid.
Yep.
And so there's probably at least 5 or 6, and I'll have them labeled, where those were.
Okay.
In the attic, they have a number of those, and they did put them in boxes, but for whatever reason in the crawl space, they didn't. No boxes in the crawl space. So those are kind of the safety, larger concern type items. Any concerns or questions with any of those?
Yeah. Are you finding any knob and tube, cloth wire, and any of that stuff?
Yes, but abandoned. So I carry a non-contact voltage detector in my pocket, and there was a number of them scattered throughout, and a number in the crawl space. All the ones that I checked, they're not live, so they've replaced the wiring, but there is some remnants of that old knob and tube.
Okay.
But it's not energized.
We'll just call that a historic artifact then.
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yep. Not a bad idea to just remove that old abandoned wiring, so it's not confusing. But I do check it as I was crawling through there, and none of it was energized.
Okay. Good.
Yep. Anything else that you saw in the house that you had questions of?
Not that I can think of. I mean, we know some cracks in the plaster. I assume that those are just old and have been there a long time.
Yep. And on an older house like this, it's that older plaster, the lath and plaster. And so it's important to kind of check that the plaster isn't detaching from the wall, because sometimes it'll loosen, and then that can be a safety concern. They're just cracked. It's tight against the wall, so it's just cosmetic repairs.
Okay.
That's what it is. Yep.
Great. Well, it sounds like a lot of good news and a few things to address.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And like I say, as you read through that, if questions come up on any of those other items, feel free to call. I'm happy to go through any of them on the phone with you.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, Travis, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Great to meet you. Best of luck. Like I say, I'm jealous of I'd like to do a project like that sometime.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Well, they're out there. You just have to keep an eye out.
Yep.